All right, everyone, welcome to the Ezra Miami Podcast. We have a heavy hitter, a big dog in the building. But before we get started, I want everyone to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please comment below. We're going to get a lot of gems today. This podcast is about interviewing entrepreneurs, business professionals to learn about their journey, to learn about their industry, and giving us tips for individuals that have aspirations or dreams to follow into the industry that they're in. So we have a entrepreneur, a real estate investor. He grew his YouTube channel to over 150,000 subscribers in less than 2 years, guys. The coaching king of side hustles, gig economy, the ultimate side hustler, none other than Shawn In Town. Shawn, how's everything, man?
Man, you the ultimate guesser, man. Boy, you be guessing. But I'm pretty good, Ezra. Man. I'm good,
yeah,
man.
Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything?
You didn't miss anything. You were spot on. But yeah, I'm doing good, man. Today's a good day. It's a cold day here in Charlotte. I'm seeing in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is where I am. I've been seeing this weather go from 50s to 20s at night, 40s in the day, 30s to 20s. It's I like it, but there's a cutoff point.
You miss Miami. You miss South Florida.
No.
Well, it's nice and toasty over here on this side. It's nice and toasty over here on this
traffic
side.
Down there, man. I can't do the traffic.
Oh man, the traffic is bad. I have to leave early, just to drop my boys off, like an hour in advance. So yeah, the traffic. I'm sure you don't miss the traffic at all. Let's get into it, man. I'm pretty sure a lot of people already know who you are, but just for some of those that don't, tell us your backstory of how you started your YouTube channel and a little bit about what you do.
Well, here's the thing about starting the YouTube channel. You know what? Let me go back before I get to the YouTube channel. So, a lot of people look at the success that we are having right now, like myself, and they don't understand that. People put in work for this thing, right. So I'm from Opelika, Florida. If you know about Opelika,
305, baby.
305, man. I'm from Opelika, Florida, which is in Miami, right? And, it's humble beginnings coming from Opelika. It's not a gold spoon in your mouth type of city, humble beginnings. And so I want to put that out there because sometimes success looks so bright that people, they're so caught up in the light that they don't understand that some people are coming from a dark place. I'm coming from a dark place, and that's where it was. So, just growing up, man, it's like it wasn't rough as in, we're in the streets doing this, doing that. But in another sense, it wasn't the easiest. It wasn't the easiest, So, but one thing I do know, being a grown man now, I appreciated those knowledge that I gained, on the way to where I'm at right now. Knowledge is power. I'm from those. I don't want to really elaborate too much on that. But before I started YouTube, man, hey, I was driving Uber. People don't even know that. I was driving Uber back in the day. I was doing Christian events, and that's something I'll hold dear to my heart. I'll never be ashamed of that. I hold very dear to my heart because I learned a lot from, throwing those events and putting on, poetry events that gained my highest turnout was 1,500 people. People couldn't believe it. So many people came out, but that came from a grind and a grit that I had at the time coming from places like Opelika, growing up in Miami.
Right,
you get that rich, you get that grind, you get that. So fast forward, I've been implementing a lot of that into the things that I'm doing today. Before I started, YouTube, I moved. I wasn't doing so well. I mean, how the financial situation is down there in South Florida. Right. It's tough, right?
Very.
So what happened was I started doing Uber as a side hustle while I was doing my job. There were times I was not working. I was just doing, my events full time. Then, you got the job, then you do Uber as a side hustle, do Lyft. And I came to North Carolina and I said, I'm going to get into wholesaling houses. And, I was still driving Uber while I'm learning the city, the fastest way to learn the city. I figured out. I drove Uber, got on Lyft and started, learning. And in my car, I'm studying wholesaling. I'm watching tons of videos, paid for courses, I invested in myself. And, so I started doing that. And my first deal, in a few months, my first deal, I closed on a property. I kid you not. I didn't use any of my cash or credit. Right.
Wow.
I closed on the property and made $7,000, man. My first
without having to put any money on it.
All I did was drive. And I saw the property. I was like, yo, this property, it looks busted down. Like nobody lives there. Let me come. I reached out to the owner. He said, hey, man, I've been trying to sell this property and my father passed 4 years ago and I inherited it. And I'm trying to sell it because, it's depreciating very quickly. So, I said, hey, I want to buy the property, this, that. Then I got a buyer and, pretty much did the deal as the middle person. And
I like the broker,
got paid that $7,000. So I started, I did it more and more and closed a lot more deals here in North Carolina. And then, I decided I was going to start my YouTube channel and, shoot for the stars. And that's it.
Wow, man. I mean, listen, the first thing, coming from where we come from, we're both in South Florida. I remember you DJing in different Christian events. And man, we had a great time. A lot of people was there, a lot of young people just having a great time, for God and for the Lord and for the kingdom. And you just dropped a gem right there as far as like utilizing your hustle from when you first started and you understanding, hey, if I drive around, I'm going to be able to understand the landscape. And without any money, you found a seller and you found a buyer, and being able to put those two together got you paid. Like that's a gem. A lot of people need to understand that you don't need money to get started, but you got to use what's around you, to make something out of yourself, man. And that's a great story, man. I love that. I love that. All right. So like I told you guys, the king of the side hustles, man, this is the man. So now you start the YouTube channel. What made you want to start a YouTube channel?
I like adding value to people. That's just my thing, man. I love adding value to people. I love giving out information. This is just who I am. This is my makeup. If there's somebody on this earth that God blessed, that type of energy with, that's me. I just love seeing, giving people value and seeing people really, take action and grow. I've been like that since I was young. I was always like that. I like giving information. I love, just seeing people flourish within their greatest, self, So, when I started, I was just looking at the makeup of what social media is looking like, and the job market was trash, is still trash. I said, look, man, people out here need jobs. We're not in us. I peeped this from a few years ago that this economy was taking that downturn, and I said, you know what? I want to start talking about side hustles a little bit more. I want to talk about, hey, you know what? I'm going to tell y'all this for those who are listening. I'm Jamaican, right? Jamaicans, we the first side hustle, y'all. Because I remember when we started coming over here back in the day, back in the day. People used to be like, man, Jamaicans be having 5 and 6 jobs.
5 jobs, yes.
Right? So, now we calling it side hustles, right?
Side hustles, yeah. But you guys started that.
We been on that tip, right? my parents came over here having 3 and 4 jobs, man. And they used to get teased. I used to get, man, Jamaicans be having 5 jobs, man. And, look at everybody now. Everybody having a side hustle, but that's the way of the world right now. And so I decided I wanted to teach about, talk a little bit more about side hustles, how, and I talked about, wholesaling houses, vending machines, how to invest in stocks. That's a side hustle for a lot of people. I talked about different things, and people came on there and people were watching and they were like, yo, I like this dude's energy. He give it the way it is. He doesn't hold back on information. I'm not a gatekeeper. And, I saw that people was loving it. But here's the thing about it, Ezra. My first 3 months, man, it wasn't really successful.
Talk about it.
You see 10 subscribers, then you see 50, and you're like, okay, I know I'm growing, but dang it, can I see 1,000? And so, there it was, man. I just stuck to it. I just stuck to my guns. I remember hitting up one of my friends, Rudy LaRose. He was like, yo, give it a 90-day blitz, man, and see how people react to it. I give it the 90-day blitz. I was like, and I always teach that when I'm telling people, give it a 90-day blitz.
Yeah, that's good.
And then move. You'll make adjustments from there. So I started that, and my channel started growing. I started talking more about side hustles, man. And so right now, I would say I'm a gig coach. So that's the term I use now versus side hustles.
Okay. So you found your niche in YouTube when it comes to the gig economy. For those people that don't understand what that means, what does that mean? Break that down to us. A gig work, gig economy.
Gig is really side hustling. It's just a more sophisticated way to use it. To use the word side hustle. So gigging, in today's era. So back in the old era, right? Well, I wouldn't say back in the old era. Gigging was used by musicians. I got a gig, Gig was used by musicians. Today, gig is used by, people who have side hustles. I'm doing a gig later, this, that. Even old school heads used to, say, I got a gig around the corner.
Yeah, right.
Which wasn't really music, but they got a little gig going on,
Right. A project, an assignment, something like that. That's going to pay them, right?
That's going to pay them. They cutting the grass or whatnot, but for the white, I was going to say Caucasians, but I'm just going to keep it 100 for the white folks.
Yeah.
They are, gigging as music.
Yeah, right.
So, as far as so for today, it's really a more fancier term for side hustles. For side hustle, a lot of people who are driving their own vehicles to create income, they use it more, regular. They use that term more than anybody else these days. But it's really, a fancy word for side hustle.
You talk a lot about getting to the bag by using your vehicle. Why are so many people gravitating to that strategy now?
Man, that's a great question, man. That's a great question. People are I think people are gravitating to it because that area, that's the logistics area, right? And the logistics business that's continuous income. You look at an industry like that, and they're gravitating into it more and more because more and more companies are going in that space. They're getting in that space, right. So it's gonna be something that I foresee being very profitable to a lot of people 15, 20 years from now. The world is gonna be a gig world. World is gonna be a place where people use their vehicles and move, the economy, just like 16-wheelers are moving economies. The economy, just like, the box truck and cargo van. Now you got your car. If you can't afford that, you could use this and still bring in. I see some people using their own car or SUV and making more money than people with a cargo van that has more space. Man. So, why not?
Right.
Why not?
Especially, I think with Amazon as well, when people want deliveries done faster. So listen, if I can get, Joey over here who has a car, that's up to par, that can deliver something, I'm gonna give it to him, but I think that is good. So one of the things, Shawn, man, I really respect about you is that you not only teach, the side hustles and, the gig, but you actually do the jobs. Like when you go on your videos and you tell us about, hey, listen, you guys need to get on this right away. Some of these things you actually do it yourself, man. Like how important is that to you? I think that's an important piece of what you provide, that it's not just word of mouth, but it's your own actual experience. How important is that to you to make sure that it's something that you can prove?
Man, the funny thing, I'm glad you asked me that question because we're in 2023 right now. Back in 2021, I was working a lot of these apps, right? And people see me out here, and some people are like, man, he never did it. Never. But if you go back to my videos, some of my videos, you'll see me
right
out here, moving this thing. And that's the reason why I'm able to talk about a lot of these apps. For me, I don't really have to prove anything to anybody these days. I'm just here giving the information. If you really listen to the way I speak, and the way I pretty much, give information, you could tell I'm knowledgeable because I've been there. So, for me, it's important for you to actually get out there and do it and research. That's a form of research, do it and come back and give good information. Now, have I done all the apps? There are too many apps for me to do. No, I've not done every one of each last one of every app. There's so many apps, man. I got a list of 74 apps, that people are companies. I should say apps are actually companies. Companies, You think I've done 74 of those companies? No. But guess what? A lot of them are the same. Just like, Amazon Flex, DoorDash, the way you take the pictures, this and that, and Spark Driver, you take the picture, this and that, and drop the grocery and take the picture and, check them off, It's like a lot of them are pretty much similar. Even if they're not 100% the same, they have similarities. So if you do at least 5 of those, you can talk about the other 50. If you do 10 or 15 or even 20 of those, you could talk about the next 100, but this, at the same time, for me, I educate myself on everything that I talk about. I go on the website, even for me, when I'm talking about Rody, I go on the website, I see what Rody's saying, if there are any updates, and I update people, I talk about it. So it's vitally important for us, to be out there ourselves. And for me, other than giving the information, it's a blessing, man, knowing that, experience it, on your own.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, I did a Spark driver delivery. Let me see. And I don't know if I could show y'all right now. I want to show y'all something real quick. It's loading right now. But look at this right here, man. Look at this right here. Right? So I don't know if y'all could see. Let me hide some of my personal information. Look. One Spark driver. One delivery. If y'all know this app, it's called Branch, right? One delivery Spark driver. Well, this is one delivery.
Wow.
$96, man. And
one delivery.
That was under. No, it wasn't one delivery. It was a few deliveries. It was my bad.
But it was like one route. It was a one route.
It was one route.
Stops. They had different stops.
Multiple stops, and that was less than an hour.
Wow.
Who wouldn't want to do that?
Man.
So why people are getting more into this space? Who wouldn't want to do that? Right?
Man, that's good.
So, and this is something I did yesterday.
Oh, wow. This is good, man. This is good. So when you started educating people about, gig work and everything like that, what was the light bulb moment, or when was that you said, man, this is it? Like, when was that payday that you seen that was like, oh, I need to let everybody know about this? Do you remember that first big payday that you had?
It wasn't really a big payday, but it was a payout, and I was like, yo, this thing actually so here's the thing. The first one of the first apps that I got on was Rody. Gotcha. Rody, and this is before UPS acquired this app. For those people who are going to ask, to spell it ROADIE, Rody. So Rody is a package delivery app, and they've been pretty much branching out and expanding. Now you can deliver delayed luggage from the airport. It's high travel. When it's high travel season, a lot of travelers, lose their luggage. And what happened is you can pick up, you as a driver are an independent contractor. That's who we are.
Right.
And everybody who's doing gig, we're all independent contractors, right? So what happened is, roadie, you can deliver, get those luggage from the airport and bring it to the traveler wherever they are and get paid from that. So they've been branching out a little bit more. If you got a big vehicle like a SUV or a truck or whatnot, you get different type of products or packages or stuff, freight, as we would say, to deliver. But I started out on roadie, man, and when I saw that roadie paid, it wasn't the best payout, but it wasn't bad.
Right.
I was like, there was enough for me to say, man, and then I started tapping into the medical courier space when I had this guy on my shout out to Tavares. He's the first one I heard talk about it. He was talking about it. I was like, medical courier. So I went on this website called Diligent Delivery Systems. That's the company name. And I tried it and I was like, yo, this actually worked. And so after that, I said, you know what? I need to tell people about the medical courier space. I need to tell them about the gig space. I need to tell them about these apps that's coming out. And from then to now, this was spring 2021, right? Back in 2021.
Right.
I learned a lot of the apps. I started driving them, and I saw that, hey, this app pays better than this one. This pays very well. This one, it's sub, it's medium. Then so I just started, really. So to answer your question straight and direct, I actually did, but it was back in spring 2021 when I signed up with Roadie.
Gotcha. I remember.
I'm seeing everybody talking about apps and companies and this, that. I'm like, okay, I've been on that, man.
Yeah, you've been on that. Yeah. Because I remember one time I was on a flight and the flight got delayed, and I was stuck in Dallas, and they flew me back to Miami, and my luggage was still in Dallas. So I had to fill out a report and everything like that. And I got the update. Hey, your luggage has landed to Miami. Hey, your luggage is en route to be delivered to you. And then a person knocked on the door, and I was like, okay, cool. And they had my luggage, and it was in a regular car. I was like, wait a minute, what is this? And then when I saw your video, I said, oh, this is what he was talking about. Like just individuals, and it's like Uber, but instead of riding people, you're riding different packages, to people. So right now, you just recently had medical courier, a webinar, the courier chick, and that was a wonderful webinar.
Oh,
so
man.
Yes, that was a wonderful webinar, man. Because anybody, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, talk about that. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. People got student loans. We got to start paying back student loans. People have debt. What is the benefit of having a side hustle? Like, it doesn't matter if you're part-time, full-time. What is the benefit of people having a side hustle like this?
Hey, look at the economy.
Yeah.
Look at where. Look, this is just the bottom line, Ezra. As my friend for how long I've known you, bro.
Yeah.
Look, this thing, the same $10 that we're spending today won't be the same $10 we're going to spend 10 years from now.
100%.
Think about it, man. That $10 is going to be like spending a nickel.
You're right.
Right. If what is importance, man? It's okay. So I was reading an article, and the article said, and this was after, it's crazy because the pandemic started in 2020, March 2020. Right. Even though it actually started in 2019, but America, we started in 2020.
Right.
In 2021, there was an article I was reading, and it was July 2021. And I remember that article said, for you to live the same way this year, for you to live maintain the same standard of living this year as you would last year, right? You would
Right.
have to make 2,000. You have to be making an extra $2,500 a year,
Woo.
right? You think about that. How many people, if you're getting paid $30,000 or $40,000 a year, how many people are getting a $2,500 bump up per year?
Raise. Yeah. You're not getting that kind of raise. You're getting a 50-cent dollar raise. No
You ain't
way
getting
you're
that
getting
type
that.
of raise, man. You know,
Right.
it's just the way of the world. Not a
Yeah.
lot of people saw that. Extra $2,500 bump in
Mm.
rates, rate. So it's like, you think about it, man. It's like the way we see inflation, but we're not seeing deflation. It's not going to happen. It's
Right.
going to keep inflating, even if the housing market gets stabilized again. You're going to see it's going to be inflated. The prices of the houses, they're only going to drop so much.
Right.
Cost. Do you see the cost of the public supermarket?
Ooh wee. The
If you
landlord.
don't have Publix in your area, or let's just say out west they have Trader Joe's, and we got Trader
Trader
Joe's.
Joe's.
They
Okay.
got Chris or something like that, and other supermarkets. Y'all look at the price. Look at the price of all these these supermarkets, man. You go to the supermarkets, those prices are not going to come down.
Yeah.
And it's hitting people where it's hurt in the
Mm.
household. So, people are gonna have to have some type of income coming in from somewhere
Right.
else outside of the job. So it's important, man. This economy ain't going no. It's not coming back down. It's like gas prices, right? And I'm gonna create a balance for you, and I know you're gonna understand, right?
Right.
So during the pandemic, okay, so gas went up, right? Gas prices
Mhm.
went up. We saw it climb. When gas climbed from 2.89 per gallon, and it shot all the way to $4 per gallon, and now they say, okay, now it's back down to 3.89 a gallon, and you're like, oh my God, the gas prices came back down. It really didn't come back
It,
down.
it didn't. It really didn't.
It
Compared to
really,
where it was at before. No
yeah,
way.
it didn't, and they're not going to bring it down.
Mm.
So you people, it's important right now, man. It's the way of the world.
Yeah. I mean, and I think you shedding the light to the opportunities that are out there is giving people hope. Is giving people hope that hey, we can. I put some work into it. I wake up and do my hustle. I can get some extra income that will help my family financially.
Mhm.
This is good, man. You started your YouTube channel. You grew it to over 150,000. What would you say is the key to your success, Shawn?
I would say the key is, oh my gosh, there's so many different key elements to it,
Right, right,
right?
right. Well, give me the
But
top three.
all right, the top three is just stay up. Be prepared to stay up late. Get
Mm,
up in the mornings and stay up late at night. You
that's good.
know, man, let me tell you, there were some nights,
Mm,
right? So that's where the grind really is. In those nights, you can grind all day. But when you're sitting around that laptop when everybody's sleeping,
yeah, man.
when all the lights are turned off, and the only cars you're hearing are the cars coming back from the nightclubs,
Mm,
you up early in the morning,
yeah,
grinding,
yeah,
right? Another key is just being open to learning, man. You got
yeah.
so many people want to skip that step because they want a platter. Man, ain't nothing like learning for yourself, man. Because
Oh
when it's
yeah.
all said and done, if it's all going south because you learned and did your own personal due diligence, right? You're gonna acquire that type of knowledge just if the ship is sinking, you're gonna know exactly how to bring it back afloat.
Right,
If
right.
you just got it handed to you on a platter, When the ship
Right.
sinks, it's gonna sink all the way. You don't know how to get it back up.
Well, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he'll be able to eat for a lifetime.
Exactly. The third one, this one right here, man, it's just, I don't know. I think this one is my favorite one. It's seeing the future before it happens, man. Because
That's good.
you know,
Talk about it.
man, let me tell you, man, seeing what I want to achieve and become, in a 3 to 5 year span, it encourages me to go harder, man. It encourages me to go harder because I know the plateau of excellence that I'm trying to hit.
That's good. That's good, man. That's some good keys right now. Be prepared to stay up. Put that work in. The second one was, educate yourself, and then the third, have a vision.
Having a
Man,
vision.
I love it. Okay. What was the toughest part of this journey that you were in? Building a YouTube channel, coaching, gigging, the things. I mean, you're getting money all kind of ways, Shawn. But what would you say was the main thing that you had to overcome, or what was the challenges that you faced, through these last couple of years?
I would say challenges. I think it's in. I think the challenge really, as far as the YouTube channel, or just my personal growth overall.
Whichever one you want to go with, whether YouTube or personal growth, whichever one you want to go. Because I asked that. Let's go with personal growth. Let's go with that. Yeah, because I think as individuals, sometimes we have to fight against ourselves. So like personal growth. What any challenges when it comes to personal growth?
I think as far as my personal growth it's really, I think my biggest challenge, man, is just trying to not like. All right, so I always say this. When I was coaching wholesaling houses, one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people used to have, and I had it. I just act like I didn't have it, right? There were so one of the biggest challenge was what is called analysis paralysis.
Okay.
Analysis paralysis is a real thing.
Yeah.
I've had that, too. Even with my personal growth, I analyze a lot of things, but then I don't execute.
Right.
And I had to overcome that, man. That was a great thing for me. That was a great mountain for me to climb in and
That's
get
good.
on top and overcome. So that analysis paralysis, man, it's real. You overanalyze things, and then you get nothing done because of being an overanalyzer.
Right.
So I've been there, so I know how it is. Right now, I'm not. Right now I just execute. I'm a straight up executor right now.
Right. That's
So
good.
that's
Yeah.
on the personal side. As far as YouTube, the biggest thing is to really get people to buy into what you're saying.
Okay.
Because we're in an era in which, and I see this all the time on my channel. Do I pay them any attention? Does it get to me? It gets to me a lot. Some people just can't come on there and say he a scam, and they don't really know you. They don't really know you, and you got to understand. It's like we're in a day in which people will make stuff up like that, and people will buy into it.
Yeah.
Like, he scammed you. What he did. Nobody gives you a chance to even come out and say, look, I don't know what this guy's. I don't even know this person with a no profile photo.
It could be a bot.
Photo. Their name on TikTok is a bunch of numbers. User 666
Right.
And y'all are believing that person over the person that's out here with my face out there and videos, and I'm showing you what I'm doing. Like, yo.
Right.
So it's just like this young lady. She was in my group, right? See, since we're talking about some of the biggest things we got to overcome, it's really, maintaining a level of restraint, because sometimes you want to clap back at these people,
right?
Just got to be like, oh, man, dang, but it gets to you,
right?
What nobody want to say, oh man, don't sweat that, man. You're gonna sweat it at some point,
100%.
And people are rude on social media, man. It's like people, even if they don't say scam, it's something else. Oh, he trying to get y'all money. Oh, so he charging this and that. Like, you just didn't buy some T-shirts from.
Yeah, exactly. Like you went to Walmart and got stuff for free and then have to pay.
I don't get it. You just buy some Jordans. Like, Jordan wants his money. Exactly. Jordan is the biggest pimp out here, all right?
Man, come on. And they love it. They love it.
And they love it. They love it. So it's like, for as a creator, oh, you charging, but you paid for everything, bro. Like, come on, man. Right. Everything else in your household. So that's one of the challenges that I have, and I still have. It's still an issue for me. I'm not gonna sit here and fake it till I make it. I'm not gonna be like, well, no, I don't. I do not pay that attention to a degree, but to another degree, I'm like, damn, I wish I saw this dude could say this in front of my face. So it's one of those things, man. And you just got to maintain a level of respect, because you think about it, right? So for me, and I would say this in when I'm teaching, YouTube, you gotta that comment section, you gotta treat it like a storefront. How you respond to people, because you think about it. If you're the owner of a storefront business, right, and you're in there arguing, somebody comes in and they say, hey man, you overcharged me for this, and it was $5, right? But you should have really charged $7, but because you charged me for this, and this, that, and you're like, well, I'm looking out, man. What you talking about? Right. This is, oh no, man, y'all be stealing. Well, if you go down to that supermarket, they charging $10.
Right.
For that same item. Oh no, man, y'all a bunch of scams up in here. And then guess what? You're in there now, and you're like, no, cool, man, chill. And then you get to your degree, and then you're like, man, get out. And then somebody new walks through the door, see you arguing with this person. Right. They're not going to look at the customer. They're going to look at you.
That's you. Yeah.
Like, you out here arguing with your customer. What kind of customer service is that? They didn't know where the argument started. So it's like, you got to treat your comment section as such.
That's good. That's good.
And that's the biggest challenge right now, to treat so I just delete the comments when they're rude. Yeah. They don't know me. But inside, I'm like, damn, like, ooh. Yeah. Especially when you're doing good work. When you're doing good work that can help and benefit people, it could be hurtful to kind of see stuff like that. But, just like you said, you got to learn how to deal with it, emotionally, and then be professional about it, because all the eyes are on you, on how you react. And if you're doing good work, hey, this is how you're gonna react, because for rumors, and people love negativity, negative comments, negative rumors, they spread like wildfire. So yeah, but I like that. Treat your comment section like a storefront. I like that. Okay. I don't want to take too much of your time, Shawn, man. You've been dropping gems to us. So I know I'm learning, man. But you good.
Yeah, I'm learning, man. I'm learning from when you interviewed me that time, so I'm learning, man. So, tell us a little bit of what you got going on. I know you got some stuff cooking, tell us, what you got going on 2024 that's coming up, and how can people get plugged in with you?
I'm going to do a gig conference.
Oh, nice. Okay. I'm there.
I probably should have never said that.
Well, now you spoke into it. You spoke it into its existence. So now you got to make it happen.
Yeah. So look out for that. Sometimes you don't really want to put what you're doing out there in the atmosphere. But for me, it's like nobody ain't gonna be able to do it like the way I'm gonna do it. So it's all good.
Right.
God, I'm protected, man. So this is the thing. I'm putting together a gig conference for 2024. I'm going to level up a little bit more in my business and my personal businesses, like my wholesaling. I want to be a developer at the end of the day. I also want to have way more properties. So I'm going to focus a lot on, buying some properties, land. I want to buy a lot of land in different, especially in Georgia. I want North Carolina and Georgia. So I want to buy a lot of land. So I'm going to be focusing a lot on that. I really want to be an investor. I also want to be an international investor as well. It's crazy. I see a lot of people going down to Belize right now. Man, I went to Belize back in 2001. And I went to Belma Pond. If any person from Belize watching this, I was in Belize City, staying in Belize City. I went over to Belma Pond. I went to all those places. And now, just to see what we're seeing everybody running down there to buy land now in Belize and so forth. Ever since Shine went down there, Shine, the former rapper.
The rapper.
A lot of people are not giving him credit, but he's the one who put Belize on the map. We're not going to hide it. I see this other guy out there acting like he's the one that put it on the map. Those people, how they, I ain't gonna say nothing, but how they be. And people are like in the comment section, like, yo, Sean, the one who's out, who put. But I want to be an international investor as well. Next year I'm going to be traveling a little bit more. I want to go to Africa. I've never been to Africa before. I really want to go to my homeland, where Jamaicans are from, which is Ghana. I want to go to Ghana. I heard that a part of their language we have similarities to our language, so there's some words they understand really well that we speak, and vice versa. So I want to go over there to Ghana. I want to go to Rwanda. I want to see Rwanda. And I want to go to Botswana. A lot of people don't talk about these places, but I don't really care about South Africa, right? I'm good on South Africa. Shout out to everybody in South Africa, right?
I was gonna say, don't have them come for me in my conversation.
I'll take it. The regular South Africa and Nigeria. I feel like there's so much, and those are beautiful places. Johannesburg. I want to go to Johannesburg as well.
Man. We got to get connected back to our motherland. Back to our roots and everything like that. I think that's good. That's good.
Shout out to everybody from South Africa. All right.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh, y'all.
Yeah. Well, Sean, man, I want to thank you so much. Like I said, I don't want to take too much of your time, man. Everyone knows your social media handles, Shawn In Town. You're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Last question for you. Anyone that wants to get into the gig space or YouTube, what's some of the tips that you can give out to us real quick?
Treat it like your business, man. It's like, don't treat it like a side hustle or a hustle. Don't treat it like a hustle. Treat it like a business. You put in work, do the setup. You see how Ezra got his phone. That's his phone.
That's my phone.
I bet you got a Galaxy, man. You got a Galaxy.
It's an iPhone.
It's an iPhone. Cause iPhone. I don't know about y'all iPhoners, man. iPhone.
It's doing a good job so far. Man.
All right. It's doing a good job. I ain't gonna lie. It looks good, but
I appreciate it.
And then you got your mic. It's a USB mic, right?
A USB mic. Yep, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
It's connected to your laptop, right?
Yep, connect to my laptop. Mm-hmm.
Right. So for anybody that's starting a channel, get you one of those. That's what I can't see very well. I'm not nearsighted, but it's what type of? It's a Rode or a Shure.
Sure. It's a Shure mic.
Shure mic.
Connected to this is X-Tech. Mac Boom. I have a MacBook Air. Yep, I have a MacBook Air.
You got a MacBook Air, and that's how you get iPhone. So my thing is invest in yourself. As you could see, Ezra invested in his stuff. And you got to invest in yourself, man, and treat it like a business. Don't treat it like a side hustle. Wake up in the mornings as if you're going to work, because you know what, for too long, us and our parents and their parents and parents' parents, and it goes back. getting up early in the morning, running to a job, driving to a job through traffic, crazy sometimes driving 45 to an hour to the job, 45 to an hour or more back from the job. You get to the job, you're running in the morning to go hit that time clock so you don't be late.
Right.
If you're late a few times, you're getting written up.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing all of that for somebody to make somebody else rich.
Yep.
So you got to show up for your own self when it comes to it. So treat it like, hey, like your life depends on it, man. Whether it's a side hustle or whatever the case may be, but get in there and elevate.
100%. Well, Shawn, man, thank you so much for taking the time to come out. Is this your first interview? Is it your first time somebody interviewing you?
No, it's not my first interview.
Okay. But you guys.
Oh man, my bad.
Yeah, I thought it was a thing. Oh man. That's fine. That's cool.
It's my best interview thus far, though.
Oh, there we go. See, come on now. All right, I'll pat myself on the back. Mm-hmm. All right, but hey guys, listen, Shawn dropped some gems, he dropped some bombs, he dropped some great tips for you guys. Just like he said, don't get caught up in analysis paralysis. Get started today. We all have a lot of things that we can do as far as side hustle opportunities. Go on his page, check it out. He has a lot of great opportunities, a lot of great apps that you can check out. And once again, like this video if you found some value. Subscribe to the channel, Ezra Miami Podcast, here interviewing entrepreneurs like Shawn, giving great tips about the industries that they're in and learning about their journey. And comment below, man. Let us know what you think and let us know what was your biggest takeaway. Shawn, thank you once again, man. My brother, God bless you, bro.
Oh, man, God bless you, too. Look, I can't leave without giving out no apps, man.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, go ahead.
2024, y'all. Drive your own vehicle, use your own vehicle, deliver packages or whatever case may be. If you see this between January and February, I would say the best app you want to get on, it's called Veho, right? So Veho Driver. Look that up in your Play Store, in your App Store. Veho, Veho, Veho Driver. So this is. If you ever heard about those, if you ever seen those HelloFresh boxes and chef boxes, these are like healthy meal options. When come January of every new year, everybody's trying to look fit and look good and eat right. It's a New Year's resolution, right? So this company, they deliver those type of products, right? So Veho delivers for HelloFresh, right? So Veho is going to be the hottest app in January and February, March. After March, people begin to fall off, right? All right, another app that you want to jump on right now, and I would say right now because it's called Airspace. Anything that you got to get in on Airspace, get in on Airspace, y'all. Whatever, if you need certification, get in on Airspace because they're one of the best paying apps. All right, another app is OnTrack. OnTrack right now is paying really good, and that's OnTrack, ONTRAC, right? They're located all over. All these apps are located around the United States. And one last app. Now, OnTrack is a package, they're big, packages and stuff. But let me tell you, OnTrack is one of the better paying apps right now. The last and final one, this is one of my favorite apps. Right, it's called Zifty. Right now, Zifty is popping. Zifty, Zifty. Zifty is a catering app, and I keep telling everybody, stop sleeping on those catering delivery apps, man. Like, they popping, man, and they pay well. My first trip on Zifty, my first delivery on Zifty, I made $49 in 30 minutes. You can't beat that, man. So
come on now. Can't beat that.
There are tons of other apps out there, but get up with me on Instagram if anything, Shawn In Town, and just follow the movement.
Yes, yes. See, listen, I told you guys this man's a wealth of knowledge, man. He's always giving value, always giving value. I can't get him out of the interview. He's always giving value, man. Like, this is a great dude, man. Listen, you guys need to go follow him, check out the apps. He has you have a like a bundle where you people can get a list of apps, I
Yeah,
believe. Yeah, so he has
74.
say it again.
74 apps. 74 apps. Apps are companies,
Okay.
y'all. So when I say apps
Yeah.
are really big companies, 74.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen,
So,
man. So get in tune, take advantage of these apps, make some money on the side,
yeah.
and help yourself out financially. So once again, guys, thank you guys for being on here. Ezra Miami Podcast. We are out.